Good afternoon, everybody. This is Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils. This is the Full Time Review. I nearly didn't get it out of my face then. This is the place for you guys to have your say on the game. So we're going to be interacting with the comments. We're going to be talking to you guys from the fan cams. We're going to be looking at all that kind of stuff. And the topics that we are going to talk about today is obviously the derby. We are going to talk about what's going to happen next week. But I want you to comment about is Alexis Sanchez. Have we found the right position? Have we found the right tactics to get the best out of him? And that ties in with Paul Pogba. But also Romelu Lukaku scoring his 100th goal at the age of 24. I think he's the fifth fastest person to do that. There's an interesting stat about how Zlatan managed to get, or how many goals that Zlatan had scored by this age. And the final one we're going to talk about is David De Gea. Is he from another planet? Right, so we're going to talk about all of those things. But let's start on the match. So Manchester United beat Swansea 2-0 at Old Trafford. And we're looking pretty comfortable in second place, aren't we? There is no second place trophy, obviously. But it's nice improvement on where we come last year. And Jose Mourinho mentioned in his press conference, when you look at all of the metrics for the season, we're higher in the table. We've scored more goals. We've conceded fewer goals. We're several points ahead of where we was at the end of last season. So I think that, yes, it sucks because City have absolutely moonwalked it, but it leaves us in a good position and we need to finish strong, starting with this weekend, and really give ourselves some confidence and momentum going into next season, because I think that there is no way Manchester City will have the same sort of season as they had last year. And the way I can point back to that is 2001, Manchester United absolutely run away with the league in a similar fashion to the way Manchester City are doing this season. Won it the earliest it's ever been won. Absolutely blitzed it, and that was our third title on the bounce. We'd won 3 in a row by that point. And then I think we brought in Veron and Ruud van Nistelrooy, and you think, we're never going to lose a game again. This is going to be absolutely a cakewalk for us. Wasn't the case. Arsenal won a double that season, and that actually started the end of that great team of Manchester United. You know, Beckham was then moved on, Roy Keane was then moved on, and we almost dismantled what was a great team, and it took him all the way up till 2007 to really regain that. So I think while Manchester City have done amazing things this season, I'd be very shocked if they have a repeat of this. A lot of teams will have figured them out. A lot of teams will be looking at the blueprints for how teams successfully defended against them this season and using that going forward. But let's talk about the Swansea game then. So it was a little bit of a game of two halves. But the first half was everything good about Manchester United, and the second half, Jose Mourinho puts down to international football quite heavily. Not sure if I agree on that. Swansea have got international footballers as well, but we allowed them back into the game. Is it a mentality thing? Was it tiredness? I'm not sure whether we thought we had the game in the bag after such a dominant first half, but it wasn't a great second half, was it? And but for the saves of David De Gea, we would have. I'm not sure if they'd have scored enough to see us away, but Dave needed to make those saves, didn't he? He really did. But in the first half, what I thought the difference was, and you can see that if you've ever looked at the average position, the average touch maps of where Pogba and Sanchez have played when they've played together, and there's a reason why both of them have not played well since Sanchez has come prior to this weekend, is because they occupy the same space. And when they're occupying the same space, one, they're easy to mark, two, they're getting in each other's way, and you're not playing to the strengths of either them or Manchester United. This weekend, Paul Pogba played in a really disciplined number 6 role, that quarterback role, that Pirlo role, if you like, and more than half of Pogba's passes were forward. He had an excellent pass completion, but more than half of his passes were forward. That's where you're starting to get the best out of Paul Pogba. He doesn't just recycle possession and pass it back to the centre half like some midfielders that are lauded. Paul Pogba is constantly looking forward, constantly trying to make things happen. And one of the things that he made happen this weekend was because Sanchez was sitting forward. Sanchez has been coming far too far back for me. He's been almost playing like a number 8, occupying that position that Paul Pogba occupies. This weekend, he was forward, shown by his goal, the fact that he stayed late on the last man and got him behind the defence. That's where we need to be playing both Pogba and Sanchez to get the best out of them. We said a couple of weeks ago, if Jose Mourinho can get a tune out of Pogba and Sanchez, he will get a tune out of Manchester United. And obviously Romelu Lukaku scoring his 100th Premier League goal as well, which is a fantastic achievement. I think Zlatan had somewhere in the region of 70, 80 goals at this age. Lukaku's 170 goals, something along those lines, at the same age. So he might Wayne Rooney it, he might start to taper off rather than kick on the way Zlatan did. But it's a pretty impressive thing to be on 100 goals at this age when you look at the company that he keeps that have also scored 100 goals. Now, I remember when Harry Kane got his 100th goal earlier in the season, and the Premier League and the FA and everybody, they was making specials. I think you could buy T-shirts and mugs and all sorts of stuff commemorating the occasion. Barely a whisper, is there, about Lukaku, because it doesn't fit people's agendas. Right, let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. Andre says yes, but Pogba still got much more to offer. I think so, but let's just get Pogba and Sanchez playing together. They've not had a pre-season together. They've not played many matches where they've known what's been going on. I hope Jose Mourinho has seen what's been happening, that they've been occupying the same space, and he's now started to give instructions to the players to keep them away from each other on the pitch and get the best out of them, because you get those two players playing and we're going to be absolutely fantastic. Abhishek says Rashford and Mata in the derby. I think the tactics that you have to use for the Manchester derby have definitely got to be something along the lines of the quick counter-attack. And Marcus Rashford, as we saw against Liverpool, and even with his goal in the derby, which I've still got a sore shoulder from after getting jumped all over, he is a deadly finisher. And if you get the opportunity, there's not many people that can keep up with him. So if you do get any opportunity, Marcus Rashford has got to be in the mix. Either the 4-2-2, I think, could work very well against Manchester City, be very strong in the core and just let them push it out wide a little bit. And then when we can counter-attack, we counter-attack hard and with pace. Pair of number 6s, pair of number 8s that go wide to help the defence. And then 2 forwards. Because if you put 2 forwards on 2 centre-backs of Manchester City, you know how high their line is. You know their full-backs push on. And if you put 2 forwards up there for them to deal with, defenders and managers don't like to leave defenders going 1 versus 1 because you're going to lose. They always like to have the extra man in defence. So if you put 2 forwards in there, they're going to have to bring one of the full-backs back, which means that their attacking outlets, because they love the attacking outlets via the full-backs, is going to be nullified. So for me, that's what I would want to see. The 4-2-2, 2 forwards up front, Rashford and Lukaku. Let's bully John Stones a little bit. Let's have Marcus Rashford running at John Stones when he's in possession. If you saw the England game in midweek, you'll know that if you put him under pressure, even though he's good on the ball, if you put him under pressure, he can flap and he can mess it up. And I think that would be somewhere United want to turn over possession and win the ball back right there. People talking about transfers, I am not going to respond. We're not talking about transfers right now. 4-3-3 attacking with Rashford, Lukaku, Sanchez up front, says FD God. Do I think we'll finish above Liverpool with City away next? Yes, I think we've got a bit of a cushion in between us now, and I think that looks good for us. Remember, we want to talk about Lukaku, Sanchez, and talk about David De Gea's saves, because he doesn't make ordinary saves, does he? I think they only had 3 shots, 2 on target at weekend, and both of those saves was just... It was ridiculous, wasn't it? Let's face it. And it's not like he's doing this 2 times a season. It's monthly, isn't it? David De Gea's pulling these saves out absolutely monthly. Ken Ayo says we need to disrupt Manchester City's rhythm if we want to win. I absolutely believe that. But I think what's going to happen in this game is it depends a lot on the midweek result of City and Liverpool in the Champions League. If Liverpool can strike twice this season and beat Manchester City again at Anfield, then Pep Guardiola I think will absolutely phone in the Manchester derby, because he knows he doesn't need to win that game to win the derby. And I think every City fan would love to see them beat us to win the league. They can't win the league now ahead of that game. They can win the league on that game. So there will be no guard of honour, but there might be some sort of party at full time if they do beat us. Now, we don't want to be there for any of that, do we? And I'm sure Pep and City and every City fan that's ever lived would want to see them beat us to win the league. But I do think if Pep Guardiola has the opportunity to progress in the Champions League and then win the league at a later date, I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to go with. So I would expect to see a rotated City side if City are chasing that game, which I think is very likely to happen. Lukaku, Sanchez, Lingard or Rashford up front. I really think Rashford's got to play. You've got to have your Mancunian legend in the mix. Kyle says, stop dodging the elephant in the room about Marshall. I'm not talking about transfers, mate. There's a time and a place for transfers. Full-time review is not the time and place for transfers. De Gea, easily player of the year in the whole league. Fantastic season. I'm not sure about that. You have to... a House of Nate's Marshall. Are you mad? Where's this come from? Love Anthony Marshall, you maniac. I think you have to look at the seasons that the likes of Salah have had, and you can't say David De Gea's easily player of the year. I'm not even sure he's United's player of the year. I actually think Lukaku's United's player of the year. Midfield is where we need to dominate, says Sarath. That's why I think if you go with a 4-2-2, you can play a box of midfield and you can really disrupt what's going on. We saw how well it worked against Chelsea. I'd like to see us do that again, to be honest. Do I think Lindelof deserves to play the derby after Swansea's impressive performance? See, deserves to play is very different to what's the tactical need to play. What do you mean by deserve? What you've got to do is you've got to pick the team that's going to be most effective in winning the game. Are United going to try and play out at the back against City? Not at all. We're going to absolutely bypass our defence. I wouldn't be shocked to see Fellaini play, in all honesty. I really wouldn't. 4-4-2 with Lukaku and Rashford up front, Sanchez, Marshall on the wing with Mata on the right, on the left wing with Mata on the right. He won't play 4-4-2. 4-2-2 he might because it's a bit more strong in the middle, but 4-4-2 is a bit weak for him. He wants the numbers in the middle of the park. What will our back line be set up against City? I think our back line will be Valencia, Young. I would expect Baye. Someone in the comments saying Baye and Rojo should play. Quite a few of you saying Baye and Rojo. I think just for the bite, you would want to play Rojo, but he's not played very much recently, so I would say it's very likely to be Chris Smalling, to be honest. Will Pogba start? See, this is the one. I don't know. I honestly don't know. If he wants to do a job the way he did against Liverpool, he might not. He might go with McTominay for the defensive duties, but I think we're a better team regardless with Pogba in it. Morning from Canada, Steve, says Ian Pilkington. Tell your Uncle Carl I said hi. Peda says, who would you start in defence against City? We've already spoken about that one. You're crazy if you think Lukaku is better than De Gea. Well, colour me crazy, my friend, because I think the goal-scoring output that he's had has been unbelievable, and I think David De Gea has had moments, but he's not had the sort of consistent season where he's been brilliant every single week like he has been when he's been winning Player of the Year previously. Right, we're going to go see what Jose Mourinho's got to say in the press conference, because he's got some lines about City, he's got some lines about De Gea, he's got some lines about the match. So let's see what the gaffer had to say.
You must have been particularly pleased with the first half.
Yeah, the first half was perfect. Maybe one more goal and game over, and would be the first half probably one of the best we played here. First half they didn't cross the midfield line. They didn't have one shot. We pressed so high and so strong, and then we recovered the ball. We had lots of movement, lots of passing. We arrive in many dangerous positions. We scored 2. We should score at least one more. The second half was different. I think, first of all, credit to Carlos because he improved the team at half time. But I think we let it go a little bit. Probably 6-7 players that played international football midweek. I could feel the intensity went down. We let them have the ball. We didn't press so high. Our transition when we lost the ball was slower. Our passing was slower. Our movement the same. So players with an amazing first half. In the second half, they let it go down a little bit, and then they felt that they had a chance. Would be always difficult, but they felt they had a chance, and then David had to make a couple of saves. But in this moment of the season, 7 matches to go, points are gold. We got the points, and we are going to fight to stay in second position.
Is that the best you've seen Alexis Sanchez play for United so far?
But the team played very well. I don't like to make it like individual performance independent of the collective performance. The team played very well in the first half. So Alexis played well, yes, but I think everybody played really well in the first half. Second half, I think Alexis was one of the guys that paid the price of the international week. 2 matches in 3 days, Saturday and Tuesday. Come here, arrive Wednesday late. Almost no time to train, so after 60 minutes he was on his way down. But important to score. Bora, come on, give cakes to the guys. Come on. Let's go. Come on, let's finish. He has to go. Come on.
Okay,
Come on.
just embargo 2 questions for quickly. This is embargo.
Zet daar kunnen. Sorry.
Jose, if you play how you are today against Manchester City next weekend, are you confident you can beat them?
When is that?
Next week.
Next week. I'm not thinking yet about it. Not thinking yet about it. But as I was telling you, instead of be critic with us with our second half, give him credit. He changed 2 players. Not many coaches do that at half time. Not many. They do that at half time. He did it. He improved this team, and he created the difficulties we didn't have. Manchester City is not important for me. Important for me is that we, since the moment we left the first position and we went to second, we stayed there for the whole of the season. We deserve to finish second. In spite of what you can say, the critics you can make, you all say that the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, they are all better than us, but they are not better than us because we have more points than them. So we are going to fight every match. 7 matches to go. We are going to fight to try to finish second. And this guy is going to keep Swansea in the Premier League. And he's the manager of the season because they were dead, and he is going to save them. Huh?
Okay.
Come on.
Is that the blueprint though? That first half performance and how you like
We played very well. I think even Carlos knows that. We played very well. We moved the ball very well. We pressed them very high. They were always very far from our goal. We played very well. In the second half, I think he has responsibilities because his team improved. I think also maybe the international week made some boys go a little bit down in their intensity. We gave them more space to play, and they play.
How do you feel Pogba played? He was scored into the starting lineup. How do you feel Paul played?
I think he played like the team. The team played very well in the first half. He played very well in the first half. The team in the second half went a little bit down, and Paul also went a little bit down. But he played 90 minutes in Russia, and is normal to go a little bit down with the rest of the players. But very important for us, the 3 points is very, very important. I think we have like 10 more points than last season, something like that, or 9 or 10 or 11, I don't know. We have more goals scored, we have less goals conceded. We finished 6. We are going to try to finish second. So the season is not as bad as you try to be.
Okay, thanks guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Lukaku?
Yeah, 100 goals in the Premier League.
Yeah, but it's not just about the goals. It's also about the work the guy does for us, and very humble guy, very good player, and really pleased with him.
Was an example of that, Jose, in the first half when he ran down the right channel, knocked Fernandes off the ball and put in a great ball to the far post. Is that what you think?
Yeah, it's not just about the goals he scores. It's about everything, even the defensive movement. The guy is really good. Okay?
Thank you. Cheers. Okay, já te vejo. Ok, já te vejo. Ok.
I think it was a pretty good press conference from Jose there. Addressed quite a few points which are worth talking about. The first one from earlier on in the press conference, and actually there's a couple you mentioned, you've seen this already on United's channel, you've not actually seen this. This is the full press conference, including the embargoed section at the end, which United haven't put out yet. So he's talking about the passing and movement, and it says at half-time we let it go a bit. It says international players, their intensity went down, mentions Pogba as that in one of them, saying we didn't press, we didn't transition quickly when we lost the ball. And I'm actually kind of glad to hear him say that kind of thing, because sometimes when we have performed like that, it comes out and defends it as that was the plan, it went to plan almost. But to hear him saying it didn't go to plan even though we still won, and he's mentioning the kind of things that we mention and we talk about on the terraces, like we're being slow, we're not pressing, what's everybody doing, puts it into the players there a little bit. And I'm hoping maybe a little bit of reaction next week, possibly on that sort of thing, because we're definitely going to have to be way more intense against Manchester City than we are against Swansea City. Talks about Dave's saves, obviously. And then the interesting bit at the end there when he says that we deserve to finish second and no one's talking about that. They're saying all the other teams below us are better than us. Well, we've beaten all of those teams that are below us. We've beat Arsenal, we've beat Chelsea, we've beat Liverpool. Now Spurs have beat us, but we've also beat Spurs. So we are in second place for a reason. We are currently the second best team in the country. Doesn't feel like it. Certainly isn't being reflected by the media. but we're the second best team in the country. It's about time people start having a little bit of respect for that. Like Jose says, he was absolutely bang on. They're not better than us. Simple as that. So see what you guys are saying in the mixer. Jesse Lingard, player of the season. Only really started to kick in around about December, didn't he? Should have kicked on more in the second half, says C. Williams. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's good to see that he's mentioned that one. Kyle says, our youth, Marshall, Rashford, Gomez will all thrive under Tuchel. Tuchel doesn't manage us, mate, so not sure how that's going to work. Richard Branston says, the players don't put in enough effort. Our pressing has been poor this year. It's interesting to see Jose call the players out on that. He obviously expects more from them, as we do in the crowd. So it's interesting to wear the blame lanes a little bit, I think. Everyone puts too much weight on how the players end the season when deciding player of the season. Lukaku's had a good end to the season, but De Gea's been better throughout the whole season. Do you not remember the first 10 games of the season with Lukaku? For me, it's Lukaku, I think. I absolutely think it is Lukaku. Rurari says, everyone has a high school crush on Marshall. I like him, but Lingard has proved 10 times more, Bale 100 times more. I'm not sure about that, my friend. Marshall has potential, but that's so far. Remember Makeda and Januzaj, they have potential too. I'm not sure they're even on the same planet as Marshall, mate. I really don't. They've shown a lot of potential in the youth teams, and Makeda, bailed us out with a couple of really important goals, but he's never done anything like what Marshall has done. Matic is player of the year. The end, says Nem. Do I think we have more of a chance due to City having a game against Liverpool Wednesday? I think the fact that the Champions League is either side of our game with City means that there's a very real chance that City might phone it in, get their excuses in early. But I don't care. As long as they don't win the league against us, I will be very, 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 very happy. And to be honest, I'd like to see Liverpool beat them and then go out in the next round. Because I think if City go through, there's a very real chance they could go all the way, and we don't want that, do we? Danny says, agree monster. Lukaku is a monster and deserves loads of credit. He's changed in the course of this season. He's added to his game, and I think he looks an absolute handful for people at the moment. Lindelof needs more game time. Would agree on that one. Wouldn't sell Marshall and Shaw even if I get Ronaldo in his prime. That's extremely short-sighted, I think, mate. Ronaldo in his prime's arguably one of the best players ever. United don't know how to press collectively. Would agree on that. Lukaku's run was dry when the team was poor overall. Ever since that, Liverpool stalemate. Yeah, and I think you've got to remember, a goalkeeper can perform in a good team, he can perform in a poor team, but the team has to come together for a striker to be able to score. You don't see many strikers in the lower, a team battling relegation doesn't have a 25 a season striker, do they? Do you know what I mean? So much noise about selling Marshall. It's papers, isn't it? It's easy to do. Imagine a City collapse where they lose all of their games in the Premier League from now on. I mean, no, it's not going to happen, but yes, it is a statistical possibility. It's minute, and it isn't going to happen, but we can still win the league mathematically. We're not going to. Relax. Lindelof, future captain. Not sure where you're seeing that, my friend. Who would you play as a striker, Rashford or Marshall, if there was no Lukaku? It depends how you set the team up. You can't just say, I'm going to play him. You have to look at how the team's going to set up. I think people need to realise that we were spoilt with Fergie, says Gaz. Jose has improved us from where we've been since he left. He's the first person to win 20, obviously now 21 Premier League games. That's not happened since Fergie's last season when we was champions. So there's improvement. There's statistical improvement, even if some of the performances, Sevilla especially, Sevilla's really left a stain on this season, hasn't it? Right, we're going to go to the fan cams in a second. Webby's got an interesting story, and we're going to talk about more on what Webby said when we come back. So let's roll with that one. Let's see what Webby had to say, and some of the others outside Old Trafford after the win against Swansea this weekend.
It's got up, started to sing, and I got told to be quiet and sit down. So it's disappointing, so I didn't go back to my seat second half. I watched it on the telly. So...
Why? Because I find this brings me to that point, because last week I was in the Owl stand for the Brighton game, and I really had a good time in there. Yeah. But where we were sat in that corner, there was someone just outside our block that got involved, and he was immediately told to sit down by the stewards. Do the club actually want an atmosphere or not?
Doesn't look like it, does it? You know what I mean?
I'm happy today. I just want to see that next week. I want to see that type of performance. If we go down fight, I want to go down fight next week. I don't want to see the performance we're putting in against them in December. All I want is to be proud. And if you lose the derby, you lose the derby, but you lose fighting, not parking the bloody bus.
First half, perfect this week. absolutely perfect this week. Second half, I've seen us back off a little bit. It should have been 4-0.
In terms of Pogba, I think he tried playing it simple today because obviously he's been in and out of the team, injuries and whatnot, and obviously whatever Jose selected him and that. But I thought he did all right. He put Mata through there with another one of those nice chip passes, and we just keep missing them. He's just unlucky because
so close.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's
Who's your man of the match today?
Sanchez.
Yeah. Goal and an assist. We finally got. I know he scored against Huddersfield here, but it came from a rebound from a penalty.
From a rebound from a penalty, Adam. But you know that's what you get. But he's gonna come good. I think he's gonna come good, and I think we're gonna see the Sanchez that played at Arsenal soon.
Did what we needed to do in the second half. Just kept the ball. Didn't give him any chances. They just had to do a few saves. All good.
All good in the hood.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best performance, but so a win's a win, isn't it? It's got to that point of the season now where we're second and I'm all concentrating on the FA Cup, me now.
Very good for Sanchez today. It was also Mourinho just told him, play well, don't play well, and we can go get a bail.
I love the beer.
He said bail there.
Yeah, but anyway, I still love the beer.
We got Manchester City up next in the derby. How you feel about that?
I have never lost hope at United. I still think we have a chance. They beat us last time. We're beating theirs.
You think we're going to beat them?
Damn straight.
Stop them from celebrating the league when we're there?
Yes, damn straight, yes.
You mean you hope so?
No, I have complete faith.
Right, listen, let's be serious for a second here now. I get wanded down and patted down when I'm going into Old Trafford. How does that guy with all the badges get in? He's wearing about £1,000's worth of badges. Right, let's talk about what some of those have said. So the first one there was Webby, who stood up and started singing and was told to sit down. I'm not quite sure where Webby sits, actually. I think he's in K-stand. I don't know that for definite. It doesn't happen on Stretford End Tier 2. And as Adam mentioned there, with the trial in L stand and what's going on in J stand, United almost want to pay lip service to the fact that they want the atmosphere to improve, but then they're clearly telling the stewards to do other things. It's mad. I remember it was actually the anniversary of the Tannoy thing, which if you're as old as me, you'll remember, or older than me, you'll remember. As the whole of K-Stand was standing up. It was after one of our first title wins, mid-90s, 95, 96, somewhere around then. And so a woman come over to Tannoy and told the whole of K-Stand to sit down, and that was actually where the stand up for the champions thing started. We've seen Chelsea take it on, and it's took on new connotations now, but the stand up for the champions thing wasn't like, a respectful, stand up, we're the champions, let's have a clap about it. It was almost like an FU to the Tannoy woman when we won't sit down. You're not going to see that level of defiance by an entire stand no more, certainly at Old Trafford. And Old Trafford stewards got extremely strict and extremely restrictive in what they was allowing people to do. I was in K-Stand for the longest time, and they would force you to sit down unless it was City or Liverpool or Arsenal or a big European night. And there would be arguments with people standing up. They start at the bottom and they would work all the way back in that block, and it would take them 5-10 minutes to sit down. I was standing right at the end of the block, so I managed to stand up for the entire time. And just as they're getting to, everyone else has sat down around you and you're standing there ignoring the steward, not looking at him, not making eye contact, you can't tell me to sit down, something had happened and everyone else would stand up and you'd get away with not having to sit down. But it was relentless, and it must have done the stewards' heads in, and it definitely did the fans' heads in, that you're concentrating more on this guy annoying you, telling you to sit down all the time, instead of being able to just stand up and watch the match. That's changed in recent years, and for the first few years of the Glazers, it was really bad, but they've weakened on it since. There's an issue at the moment, and it's such a disconnect that I don't know how they're doing it. Initiatives like J-Stand and L-Stand, they're excellent for getting the noise going again, because Reds want to stand up. The season ticket thing that was brought in last week is an excellent thing. That's something that I'm hoping to see a lot of people really take advantage of. If we want our ground to be that cauldron of noise that's intimidating, that's a joy to be in, like it is at away games, where it's unallocated, it's free for all, and it's a load of young lads just getting after it and making noise and making an atmosphere and making themselves heard and getting behind the team. That's what we all want. That doesn't mean that the pensioners that still go to the ground, they've got every single right to be in the ground, but let's put them in places where they can sit down and enjoy the game themselves. But let's get all the noise generated in a couple of areas. Behind the goals is the traditional place. Let's concentrate all the noise behind the goals. Let's the club work with fans group like must and make this sort of thing happen, because otherwise it's just going to go staler and staler and staler. And for those of you that have experienced football on the continent, and I'd love to experience what it's like in South America, even in the United States, the MLS, it seems like the crowds are allowed to do a lot more there and get behind the teams. And I would love to see Old Trafford brought back to that. And it's not just a United thing. Every single Premier League ground suffers from this, and it's a problem throughout the English game that needs to be fixed. It was too far one way in the 70s and 80s. It's gone too far the other way. There's obviously going to be some sort of swing back, bounce back. It needs to happen sooner rather than later. What was the other stuff I was talking about in here then? So Andy says he wants to see Fight next week, and I got to agree on seeing Fight, but I've got to disagree with the fact that he says he'd be happier to see us lose than park the bus. If we park the bus and get a result, is he telling me he's not going to be happy? I can't. If we get a result, this is all that matters. The result. The result is all that matters at this time of the season. Let's just get the result. I don't care how we get a result against City. I just want to see us get the result. Sanchez, man of the match. There's a lot of people really happy with his performance. I honestly think, as we've mentioned earlier, it is down to the positioning, where he's taking those average touches, not getting in the way of Paul Pogba. And I think if we can continue to develop and work on that in the games and in training, I think United are going to have a really strong, safe, strong finish to the end of the season. People talking about saves from De Gea, and then obviously Jed and the Irish fella next to him there getting a bit of a language barrier confusion, talking about loving the beer, not the Bale. If you've never experienced anybody from Burnley, that is how they talk. Yeah, it's hard. Right then, let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. Ricardo Luke says, safe standing with Defo help, the FA just won't do it. I think someone's mentioned that it's not actually against the FA rules because there is a seat. And I think United have been really looking into it. About safe standing. United are one of the ones that have sent delegations to go and look at this stuff on a regular basis. If you listen to what Musta's saying, they think it could happen, to be honest. Wouldn't it be great if United expanded to Bobby Charlton stand so it had 3 tiers like this? I've lost it. Yeah, it would. Other big clubs are expanding or building new stadiums. Hang on. Ours is the biggest club ground in the country. Like, is there really that much of a need to expand it beyond what it is at the moment? I'm not sure it really is, unless you was going to say, right, we're going to extend it by another 20,000, and all of them 20,000 are going to be 13 to 25-year-olds. If they can do that and they can get that right and the balance right and the blend right for all that lot, then yes, I would absolutely agree. But I don't think there's an absolutely pressing need for that to happen right now. Pogba is the next Zidane when he finally shows consistency, says Suleiman. It's not a bad one. City have got plenty of talent to beat us, and I would say likewise, mate. Richard said safe standing would be great. I think English fans have just ruined this. You can't drink, shout, sing, etc. It's a shame. You can though. Like, you can. Drinking and watching the game while you're watching the game isn't an issue. I don't know why that's a rule or a law in England where you can't drink in sight of the game. You know, whatever. I know we hate City, but do I think they will deserve the title? What's that supposed to mean? They're going to win the league. I don't know what that means. Marshall should be sent on a 2-year loan to Dortmund or Monaco. Why? Let's see what everyone else is saying in here. Dreading the City match, says Daniel. What players do you think we need to be bought in the summer? It's not the time or the place. They all stand on the cop, let the Stretford end stand. I think they're doing the lower, but the problem with the Stretford end is the very centre of it is corporate hospitality, and it's right in the very heart of where you want the noise to be. They're not going to take it out. That's the problem. They're not going to reverse a decision like having all those suites. I don't know how you fix it. It's going to be very expensive, and I think there's not really much of a desire to do that. Pepper said he'll rest players for United games because he cares more about the harder opposition in Liverpool a few days later. Does he now? City's midfield is what Guardiola inherited. Everton's was what Jose inherited. The atmosphere in the Irish League is good. The stewards don't tell you to sit down, and there is flags and drums with good parts of Old Trafford. Absolutely agree. The lad next to me got kicked out for drinking Heineken during a match. It's a joke, innit? It's an absolute joke. If I was United manager, what would my tactics be next week? I would go with the 4-2-2, and I would look to hit them on the counter. But you've got to hit the counter. Where they're weakest is right behind the fullbacks. because the fullbacks press forward so much, they're almost like wingers, and you want to get Lukaku down that right channel, Rashford or Martial in that left channel, and you want to get the balls to them, and the person who can hit those balls is Paul Pogba. So you want to have Pogba playing, you want to have Sanchez in there causing a bit of chaos. The thing is, you're going to have to probably drop Juan Mata, and when we play with Juan Mata, we're a better football team. So it's a big decision. That's why Jose gets paid the big bucks to make these decisions and hopefully get it right for us. I just want Liverpool to beat Pep City. Salford Red says, it's illegal to drink alcohol inside the game. Marshall was our player of the month 3 times this season. He was on fire in February, then got dropped. We can beat City and it doesn't matter how for this one game. Bingo. Do I think we'll be able to keep the gate? I think so. Gary from Plymouth enjoyed the first half. Second half, a bit of pace. Younger Bresh of fresh air for United. Bresh of fresh air. That's hard to say. Herrera should play at man mark Silva. I think it'd probably be McTominay, to be honest, but if he's fit, I guess. But yeah, Herrera wouldn't be a bad option. We have got United on YouTube coming up in a sec. We're going to get down to that one. Ashgay says, telling people to sit down at a football match is insane. Are we watching daily soaps or what? In K-Stand, there used to be a sign on the wall which says you are only permitted to stand during moments of excitement. Well, I'm excited when I'm at the match, so I'm going to stand for 90 minutes. How about that? Non-Doshe says, are we going to beat Man City as they will focus on both games against Liverpool, fielding a weakened side against us? I think so. I think so, to be honest. I think that's what we're hoping for, but we've got to turn up anyway, haven't we? Right, let's have a look what the lads in United on YouTube had to say this week.
As we beat the Swans at Old Trafford, and I saw a new dynamic and attack today. So you got Pogba in kind of a deep lying midfield role where he would just ping balls across the pitch, kind of like Pirlo did in his day. He was kind of in a Pirlo role.
We just witnessed 45 minutes of great fluid attacking football followed by 45 minutes of shit. Let's not talk about the second half. The first half was good, but Swansea made us look great. They were very poor and we took a full advantage of that.
Also, Romelu Lukaku, 100 Premier League goals. What a milestone that is. He's been in hot form recently. You also got Alexis Sanchez, been horrible recently, but today he stepped it up, man of the match. 1 goal, 1 assist, really good.
We are ready. We are going to Etihad. We are going to beat City. We are not giving anybody any guard of honor, and we are not going to let them win the league in front of us. They can win the league afterwards, it doesn't matter, but we are beating City.
Not much to complain about today, except for the second half. The first half was really good. And on to the derby next week.
Another shout out to all full-time Devil supporters. Whatever you tweet this week, it doesn't matter whether it's about football, if it's about something else completely unrelated to football, whatever you tweet, just add 8 characters behind it, hashtag free FTD, and let's get it trending and let's get our Twitter unsuspended.
Thanks to those guys for sending it in their videos for United on YouTube. We'd love to hear from more of you guys. So if you want to get involved, the link is in the description, or I can just tell you it's at fulltimedevils@gmail.com. Send us a 30-second review of the game, especially next week, and we will see what we can do to get you in. And we would definitely love to hear from more of you, so make sure you do that one. So what they were talking about on United on YouTube, Raph mentioned about Pogba having a good game, and also mentioned Sanchez. I do think it's linked. I think that they've both been under par. I'm not going to say poor. I would say under par by playing together because they didn't really know each other's runs or rhythm. And I think as they're playing together more, we're going to get them more and we're going to get better out of them. Brown Knight was saying it's a 45 of good passing fluid football and 45 of shit. I've got to agree with that, in all honesty. I really do have to agree with that. And as Mourinho pointed out in the press conference, it's likely down to the players. He didn't seem too fussed about it himself. Beating City next week, as we've already mentioned, a lot is going to hinge on the Liverpool result in the Champions League. So I think the best thing that we can do is, I'm not going to say support Liverpool, but either watch it and think a Liverpool win is probably the best thing for us, because that means City are really going to have to try and pull it out the bag at home at the Etihad in front of about 11 people the following week. And yes, as the Brown Knight mentioned, if you're going to tweet anything this week, make sure it's hashtag FreeFTD. We have been wrongly accused and incarcerated against our wishes for crimes we didn't commit. So if you're going to tweet anything, and I think Jack is the guy that runs Twitter, so at Jack, FreeFTD, hashtag All We Riot, I reckon that'll probably do it. So Pogba with a skinhead would be better, right? Hang on, can I get into this actually? So Brian Robson last week, one of the greatest captains Manchester United has seen, one of the best players Manchester United have seen, a legend, Captain Marvel, all of these things are what you think of when you think Brian Robson. What a guy. He's criticising Pogba for his haircuts and his social media activity. But I can't stand there, and I think it's hypocritical. Brian Robson used to go on 2-day benders. He was a major part of the drinking club right the way throughout his career. If anything's going to detract from your performances on the pitch, it would be going on the piss for 2 days every week. Now, Brian Robson could do that and still perform. That's what a lot of people are going to say. If Pogba puts in the performances that Robbo did, then let him do whatever. But he's going to have his haircut. Brian Robson turned up with a perm. Are you telling me that just happened naturally? It didn't happen naturally. Brian Robson was a guy that used to have mad haircuts. I can't stand by it. I think there's a short-sightedness and Souness is the worst one. Did you see what Souness used to look like? I think they're forgetting that they used to be in their 20s once. Haircuts and posting about it on Instagram takes 5 seconds. It's not affecting Pogba's game. So let's get off Pogba's back. He's the best footballer that we've got in this club. A lot of people saying the same kind of things in the comments. I think we're done. So thank you guys for tuning in to us this week, every Monday, when we can. You know, fixtures and that permitting. We do this review where we get involved. We talk to you guys in the comments. We get some of the videos that you guys have sent us. So make sure if you want to get involved with that, you come in, you watch it live, you comment, or you get us a video sent over. And if you'd like to come and do a fan cam with us, then we're outside the away end at every game, or we're at, somewhere at Old Trafford. It changes weekly, but you can find us anytime that you want to. So thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to come and speak to us at a game, that's what you do it. If you'd like to send us a video, that's how you do it. Make sure to subscribe, tweet at Jack, FreeFTD. And I'll see you in the next one. Laters.